Hey guys, Joe Davis here from Right Way Home Solutions. In this video, we're briefly going to cover, do we buy $1 million properties? You might have watched our other video on do we buy hood houses, so this is just a flip side to that. Do we buy houses which are $1 million or $2 million or $3 million? Well, the answer is going to be exactly the same as in the video where we covered do we buy hood houses. And the answer is yes. So why is it yes? Is if the numbers work, right? So we have such an eclectic mix of buyers. Buyers tend to form their strategy and what they prefer doing and what they love. And some buyers out there, they won't touch properties which are don't have a huge spread on them. They won't buy a property if it's not worth $1 million or $2 million because that's their niche, right? That's their forte. But again, just like in the previous video, when you're offering on a property which is that expensive, there is a lot of variables. For us, the variables are it's a limited buyer pool because there's not a lot of people with the resources and the know-how to flip $1 million property. So we need to make sure that we get the numbers right because we're presenting it to a far more select group of buyers for that, right? So what are some of the variables that you're going to find in $1 million property? Well, we just kind of touched on one. It's very expensive. If you are using a lender and asking them to borrow $700,000-$800,000, what does it mean? It means you're going to have to bring more money to the closing table to get that done. It also means that if you have a loan, your debt coverage every single month is going to be a lot higher than it would be on a $40,000, $50,000 property. Your risk level is much higher. A lender or a private investor who's lending you the money to fix that $1 million property, well, they have a lot more risk, right? It's a lot more risk to lose $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 than it is $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So they are going to be they're going to be much higher vetted than your typical cheaper house buyer. They're going to need to know how to make a property sell. They're going to need to put in a considerable rehab. You're not going to be able to go into $1 million property and put on a $30,000, $40,000 rehab, right? Most of those properties, they're dropping in hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes. And again, it needs to be taken into account. You also have the other running expenses, which are much higher. You have your interest payments on your debt coverage. You have your insurance costs on that property. If your insurance guy is insuring $1 million property, that's going to be a significant cost. Here in Texas, we have high property taxes. For the total amount of time you're holding that property, which is probably going to be a lot longer than a traditional rental or a lower end flip, you're paying the taxes on that property, right? So your holding costs are really what eats into a lot of the profit on that house. If it takes you 6 months to flip that house, and again, when you're listing that property, you have a much more limited buyer pool because most end buyers are looking in that kind of median range, right? That $200,000 to $250,000, $300,000 range. That's where the majority of your buyers are coming from. When you're listing $1 million, $2 million property, the people looking to purchase that expensive are much fewer. So it might take longer to sit on the market. So what does that mean? It just means further holding cost. So when you take all those variables in, what does that mean? It means that you need to buy the house considering those facts, okay? Considering the fact that we have a lower buyer pool, that they have a lower buyer pool, that they have more holding cost. So again, look at those variables. If you have a property which is worth $1 million, $2 million, some of you might be watching from markets where $1 or $2 million doesn't even go far, right? Maybe you're on the North Coast, the Northeast, or the Pacific Northwest, San Francisco, or you're in Boston or New York, and those prices are pretty normal. Well, of course, you're gonna be making offers on that type of property, on that value. So take those variables into account. You might have to tweak your offer on these, right? Instead of buying at a 77 or 78%, you might want to be buying at a 75% ratio because you're accounting for those other variables and those holding costs, right? You need to be giving them an actual good deal for them to be buying it. So definitely keep all those variables in account when you're making your offer. You're also got to consider that your rehab is not going to be a light rehab. If you're going in there and put a standard, luxury vinyl plank, granite, repaint the countertops, well, no, if you look at your comps, you're probably going to find that they put a lot of money into getting those properties that can attract $1 million buyer. So you really get to learn your rehabs, learn that a $50,000 house and or a $3,000 house in a 200 square foot neighborhood, right? Or where it's worth 300,000 and it's 2,000 square feet, then that repair might be 60, 70. But when you're getting a 3,000 square foot house in River Oaks, which is a very expensive area for us here, that's worth $2 million, that 50, 60,000 is not going to cover very much, right? You're going to probably be putting in 150,000. So when you're making your offer, consider that the rehab is going to be significantly more, and all those other factors are going to be significantly more, and tweak your offer to that. So just like the previous video, if somebody asks you, are you buying $1 million, $2 million houses? It's a resounding yes, we are. Everything has a number. It's a numbers game. If we can get to the right number, we can make a deal happen. But our preference and what we can move most of is obviously in the median range, right? That kind of cookie cutter price. Our buyers pool is much higher. The deals are not going to last as long, So hope you've enjoyed that. Hope it makes sense. In every video we cover that says, do you buy? Then it's probably going to be a resounding yes. The only reason we wouldn't buy a property is if we can't get title commitment to the house. We would never buy a house that can't be insured, that does not have a clear title. But in all other factors, we do buy the property, right? That's high-end houses, that's low-end houses, that's lots, that's multifamily, anything residential. We're going to buy if you can get those numbers correct. Thanks, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? Joe Davis here from Right Way Home Solutions. Thank you for watching our latest video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also, press the bell, get the notifications for all future videos. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or jump over to our website, jvtherightway.com. We have some great stuff on there. And if you have any questions relating to this video or this topic, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. I can jump on and answer any questions, or one of our team members here at Right Way can answer any questions that you might have related to this topic. So thanks, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.